Hello and welcome to another episode of the Nerd Today podcast. I'm your host, that is right, your doctor recommended daily dose of nerddom. My name is Carlos Rodriguez, aka your Nerd Today. How are you, folks? It's a new intro. I'm testing that one out. I'm actually gonna keep that live with this episode. Oh my gosh, my beard. Oh my goodness. Also, I think so saturated. So much light coming off my face. If you're a video watcher, there's so much light. Ooh, no, that's worse. There, so a little better. Ooh, too dark, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, let me know in the comments. How are you guys? Sorry for the random pregnant pause. If you're listening, audio. How's everything going? How's everything going? How's everybody doing? Maybe that's the better question to ask. Since it's a podcast, I'm not talking to things, I'm talking to people. Gotta get better at this. It's been 2 years. I gotta get better at this. Well, I am back from a little bit of a vacation. I just got to marry my best friend to his wife now. So that was fun. It was a lot of prep. So no episode of Apron Work or Nerd Today last week just because life was crazy. I got to see Batman, but that was like part of the bachelor party, which it was really good. You should go see Batman. This episode is not about Batman. Then the lights will be red, because that's like the color theme for our pets, Batman, which is really good. Again, you gotta watch it. It's really good. Anyway, this episode actually is about another surprise acquisition. I know, shocking, right? It's another acquisition in the world of video games. Shocker, shocker, shocker. Especially after Jim Ryan saying, like, oh no, we're going to be more aggressive about this. And spoilers, it's about PlayStation. So the news today is that PlayStation has acquired Haven Studios. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Haven Studios is a development team led by Assassin's Creed, Star Wars, and Google game veteran Jade Raymond. I have some quotes and some stuff from 2 articles, which will be linked down below. So we are going to start here with the title of the article here says, PlayStation to buy Jade Raymond's Haven Studios, Sony's first developer in Canada. This is a GameIndustry.biz article. Both of them are from Christopher Dring over at GameIndustry.biz. Check them out. Really good articles. They do really good work over there. As I mentioned, PlayStation has agreed to fully acquire Haven Studios, the development team led by Assassin's Creed, Star Wars, and Google game veteran Jade Raymond, who was just recently over at Google, was working on a game. Didn't really go anywhere because Google is not really good at supporting people and staff, and so it went nowhere. So she and some of her team left. But next bullet point, it says here, it follows Sony's initial investment in the studio in March last year when they were initially announced. Ever since, the team has been working on exclusive IP for PlayStation, which has now been revealed to be a live service experience built upon a systemic and evolving world. So, to piggyback off of that real quick, right? Let's just pause that right there. Just pause, not the video. Don't pause the video. Keep watching. It's very important. I need the views up. I need more people to subscribe, like, share, and subscribe. But yeah, let's talk about that right there, right? So, an exclusive new IP for PlayStation, which is a live service experience. Funny enough, PlayStation just acquired Bungie, who works on live service games, and one of their goals with the purchase of Bungie is to, as I mentioned in a previous video, to kind of pick their brain and see, because they do it best, right? Live service. See what they can do and pivot what their knowledge base is with live service experiences in Destiny and move that over to the PlayStation side. So at the time when Bungie was purchased, there was an news, I don't know if it's unconfirmed, obviously, or I don't know how much confirmed it is, but there was rumored to be 10 live service experiences or games, I want to call them, in active development at PlayStation. So I would assume this is one of them. Haven Studios was one of them. And I think it would be initially anyway. This is before the purchase. because this IP was gonna go to PlayStation anyway. And as I mentioned, Sony's initial investment, they had initial investment in the startup of Haven Studio last March. So I think that coupled with Bungie's purchase is starting to like work, right? Like we're starting to see like some of the immediate benefits of Bungie's purchase, and it's also interesting to see um, Haven being purchased right out so quickly after kind of establishing a relationship with, you know, PlayStation Studios. I think in the second uh, article that I have listed below, Christopher makes a I think when he was interviewing Herman and all, he also mentioned that this is uncommon for PlayStation. They usually kind of have like a courting uh time frame, like with Naughty Dog and everything like that. There was a lot. They called it dating. You know, you were like dating the studio before finally fully committing and putting a ring on it, as Queen Bey would say herself. So that going with that is really interesting. So now the next article, the next piece of info we have here is post acquisition. The studio will continue to be run by current management team in close collaboration with PlayStation. Raymond is a game industry veteran alongside launching Jeez, I am off my game today. You tell I'm tired. Ugh, kids. Alongside launching massive franchises such as Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, she also set up Ubisoft Toronto and EA's Motive Studios, which was in charge of Google's internal game development project before the firm changed its strategy. So that's a big lineage right there, and that's when I first heard of Jade Raymond was in the development of Assassin's Creed. I really remember the initial stuff because I was a big Prince of Persia fan, and I remember having a subscription to Game Informer at the time and getting that Game Informer cover. It was Assassin's Creed. I'm like, what is this? Is this like a new Prince of Persia? Like, is this like an offshoot? And I think a lot of us thought it was going to be, but it was his own thing created by, one of the creators right there was Jade Raymond. And she had, so I was like, oh, that's awesome. I've never heard of Jade Raymond. And reading the interviews and stuff, and they're very secretive at the time. You didn't know about the present day stuff. It was a really good article. I wish part of me would be like, you should go find it. It's going to be impossible to find it unless Game Informer has like backups of those old magazines on their website, which would be cool. But that's where I first heard of Jade Raymond, and then seeing her kind of, you know, develop and launch Watch Dogs, and then kind of leave and then, set up Ubisoft Toronto, that studio, and then leave and then create EA's Motive Studio. That was interesting too to see, like, oh, we're gonna work on a Star Wars game. Now, a lot of that, um, you know, it is what it is. I mean, Motive did create like the story portion of Battlefield 2, which story wise, I would say I liked. I liked generally a lot of it, but that game is kind of a weird mess until the very end. Like right before they pulled the servers, it was like, hey, by the way, we finally got our crap together. But yeah, then she went over to Google. She created a studio there, and she was gonna it was gonna be like a launch game for Stadia, and doesn't look like she got the support. I mean, obviously, this is all speculative and everything like that. But to me, from the outside reading and seeing news articles, it doesn't seem like she or many people within Google got the support they needed to kind of further Stadia along to the next step. It's kind of why it's in this weird nebulous state right now where you don't know what's going to happen with Stadia. They're still getting games. There's still like a premium service. I mean, Fee over at Pip, I think she has a podcast about Stadia. There's people who love it, and that's, you know, I like stuff people don't like. I love Ninja Turtles. As well, to be fair, seems a lot of you like Ninja Turtles because that video's at like 500 views, which is insane for me right here. But yeah, and now her leaving and then quickly establishing a new studio in Haven, working alongside PlayStation, and then now fully purchased by, that is kind of crazy. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, and then I wanted to pull some more uh articles right here, or I'm sorry, bullet points. This is from the second article here from Jade Raymond and Herman Holst on why Sony is buying Haven Studios, which kind of breaks down, has quotations from both of them. I'm just going to read it as well, as I mentioned at the top of the show. Yet, Sony announced its partnership with Haven a little over a year ago. The developer may be fully established faces who are responsible for hit games such as Assassin's Creed, but it's still a new studio. It's still growing. It's not even announced the PS5 game it's working on, let alone released it. So why deal? Why do the deal now? And there's a quote here. You're right. We could have just carried on with the capacity for them being an external development partner, acknowledges PlayStation Studios head Herman Holst. But what Haven has created is so exciting for us. There's just a desire to deepen that relationship. We have been very impressed with how Haven is coming together. So those are a few articles and a few things that kind of stuck out to me in this news cycle for Haven's purchase by PlayStation Studios, right? And I mentioned it when it was initially announced. And you know what? I'm going to link. I'm going to link my buddy Kevin Diaz's video down below because I'm sure I didn't want to watch his without formulating my own opinions and ideas, off of what it is. But I'm going to watch it after this uploads. I'll take his video because his stuff is very good. He does very good work over at PlayStation Source, and we got to talking a little bit before he worked on his video when the initial story broke. I hit him up on Twitter as I tend to do, and I came to this at an angle where I know Christopher makes mention that there's usually like a courting or dating period with a lot of external studios before PlayStation purchases them. But for me, one of the things that stuck out is I think this is a lot to do with Herman. I know Jim Ryan kind of gets last say, I'm assuming with the checkbook, but Herman coming from the developer side, being a creator in the PlayStation ecosystem for so many years. With the last game he worked on was, Horizon Zero Dawn, and launching that, and then bumping up to studio head of PlayStation Studios proper. I think there comes a knowledge base that we haven't seen much of, right, within PlayStation over the years. And I'm not saying it's a negative thing, right? I'm not saying that Kaz or Shuei or Rashawn Layden or anything. I mean, they've had a lot of good leadership. You can tell, or people who understood that. But Herman being a creative and being such a, I want to call him brilliant, right? Like he's a very brilliant man, and I think how I'm reading this is he saw a lot of potential, right, in someone who's very creative like him, in Jade Raymond. Someone who, I think if you somehow don't know who Jade Raymond is or of her, once you start reading like her accomplishes, what she's worked on, it starts like sparking memories in your head. You're like, oh wow, well no, I love that game. Yeah, well she worked on that. Oh, she helped create that. Oh, she did this. Oh, she did that. She set this up. She's really like a always to me an unsung hero within the gaming industry. So I'm Herman, pardon me, having that that relationship, both being creatives, knowing each other, probably running across each other, probably at GDC, E3, things of that nature, talking shop, and then now seeing the work that she's been doing already within this last year, with the the formation of Haven. I think Herman probably looked at Jim's like, yo, Jim, listen, they're doing a really good job over here. Let's do this. Let's pivot and purchase them and be a little more aggressive than we have been in the past, with getting these studios, especially with the landscape changing the way it is. The after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which is still not fully done, obviously that will finish in 2023. But I still think it will go through all the proper channels that it needs to, government wise, and the purchase of Bungie. I'm sorry, Bethesda. pardon me, both Microsoft acquisitions. I'm sure Herman was like, listen, they're doing really good work, and I know we're working on a game with them, but why don't we just do the deal now instead of wait, have them possibly, their next game in a few years go down to Xbox, work with them, and then be courted over there. Um, when it could be associated with a game studio and specifically PlayStation brand. They already put the investment in as well, for the initial game. So there's a lot there. I think another thing as well to think about is, I mean, there are stories. We haven't seen anything. We don't know anything. But Hideo, obviously worked with Herman to get the Decima engine for, which is the Guerrilla proprietary engine that they have over at Guerrilla Games. And they used it in Killzone, Horizon, and things like that. He got that. He got to use that engine for and kind of work a working relationship with PlayStation when working and creating Death Stranding. Now there's stories of Hideo working on a game exclusively for Xbox. Maybe Herman was like, hey, I mean, and it's not a bad thing. Obviously, he loves, Hideo, but could it be like, hey, we saw that he's going working over there. We should start tying things down if we can, and let's reach out and be more proactive than reactive. In this kind of new landscape of this current generation. So that's where it kind of read for me. So that is kind of the news. It is the news. What am I saying? Kind of. It is. It's absolutely news. I just gave you news. Jeez. Read the 2 articles I'll have linked down below. And as well, as I mentioned, my buddy Kevin Diaz does awesome work at PlayStation Source. Check out his video. That'll be linked down below as well. If you listen to the audio, check out the video. And, give a like, a share, a subscribe, boost those numbers up, man. Let this be my second job because I really like doing this. And I have some fun things already happening for this year, pardon me, which is insane. Absolutely insane. Which is a tease for the next video. But for now, that has been the Nerd Day podcast. And there you go. There's your doctor recommended daily dose of nerddom. You're welcome.